the energy preservation industry, and I'll give the floor to you.
Thank you very much for the invite to Russia. I'll first touch on my project, my company, then come back to a more interesting reason as to why I'm here. I founded a company called Oxygen Africa. We're a solar company, and we specialize in the building, owning, and operation of solar power plants. What we did, probably to answer when you touched about companies basically finding it hard to move towards newer technologies, we believe we've answered that question. So our model basically is what we do is we go to a company and we install the solar solution, but they don't buy it. We basically sell them the power for the next 20 years. Now, why did we do this? It removes the technology risk from the company. It puts the financial burden on our balance sheet, so there's no capital expenditure from the company itself. They are able to predict the energy costs, so basically they can hedge what the energy is going to, what a third of the energy cost is going to be in 20 years, which allows them to plan for their business. Now, it evolved this way because people say I'm a solar company, but what we are is actually an asset management financing company. In that we identified certain companies and said, look, blue chip companies, you obviously want to go green, right? What I'll do is I'll secure your pension fund for you. So your pension fund will invest in my business, and I will then install solar onto your rooftop. So in other words, the money that's supposed to be going to the state utility for electricity comes back onto their balance sheet as returns. I then went to the banks that bank these blue chip companies, and I said, look, will you give me non-recourse finance if I do, for example, a solar solution for Old Mutual, who I'm working with now? And they said yes. So now the bank has got a reason to bank their client, to give new ways of giving finance, but not on the company's balance sheet, but on my balance sheet. Then we created a whole ecosystem that involves the financiers, the insurance, and the clients, whereby everybody establishes value for their business financially, but through renewable energy. That way, we're able to ease the burden of moving to a newer technology. So that's pretty much what we do. Our project is 20 megawatts. It's been recently funded by the Africa Development Bank, and it's considered the largest commitment by a single company to renewable energy in sub-Saharan Africa. So we hope to, by the end of the project, we should have 246 buildings in total that will be powered a third on renewable energy. Back to actually why I was here, it's a funny story in that I actually have a book here that I got when I was 5 years old. Basically, we have a Korean neighbor. When I was 5 years old, I gave this book to my mom. And I used to love to read it a lot because it's just a pictorial, 13th Festival, Pyongyang, Korea. So when I got the invite to come to the festival, I looked at the logo and I was wondering, where did I see this particular logo? And then when I went home, I found it. And I was like, look, what are the odds that this was my favorite book as a child, but 27 years later, I'm here making an address and presenting what I do to you. So hopefully you'll get to sign it as well. The other aspect I wanted to touch on is I've noticed, like in my country, Russia is sort of coming but more on the minerals and mining perspective. But I believe the bigger opportunity is in agriculture. And the reason I say this is our sister company actually imports a lot of its raw materials from Russia, your AN, your potash, etc. And they are the second largest manufacturers in the country. And I thought to myself that the future of Africa is actually in agriculture, and possibly Russia has a bigger role to play in forms of EXIM finance, exports, as well as probably getting produce out of the country itself. So in a nutshell, this is me.
Я думаю, что вы приехали в правильное место.
I think you came to the right place. It will be not only great for you to once again experience being in our country, and compare it to the books you read in your childhood, but in terms of your professional areas, because we are actually doing a lot in the renewable energy sources, and Several years ago, we were lagging behind, but now we have solar panels that are acknowledged as some of the best in the world, even the best in the world in terms of efficiency and in terms of their length of service, and they can be used. One of our private companies is making these solar panels. They started in Switzerland, and they came to Russia. They developed these panels, improved them, and they have made a long path. And this is the first thing I wanted to say. The second thing is that not only for African countries, but even paradoxically, in our far north, solar panels are used to provide heat for oil, for oil pipes, and these solar batteries, solar panels are used to heat the oil when they come through this oil lines, oil pipes. I was very impressed when I found out that solar energy is enough to do that. And this unconventional sources of energy, these renewable sources of energy, they are connected, and they will continue to develop side by side for many years in the future. And as for the issues of ecology and the pollution, the emissions, today coal is still generating most of the pollution. Some believe it's that maybe some other things like some other residues and other compounds produce more emissions, but actually I'm not sure. We will work towards that. It will all require a lot of financing, a lot of money. It always requires a lot of money, but in terms of using these scientific developments in practice, it leads to an opportunity to use them more broadly in other aspects, in other areas. And I wish you good luck.